So today we're going to talk about filling acrylic with paint. And I'm just going to show two different ways, and we're going to see how different ways work, and also talk a little bit about settings. So first of all, these were my first ones I did, and what I realized is that I have a Mira 9 laser, and I realized that it was a little bit misaligned because I couldn't get the engraving deep enough, and I was getting, you can't see it very well, maybe you can see it on this one a little bit better. I was getting shadowing on my engraving, and when you start getting shadowing on your engraving, it normally means that your laser is hitting, like in this case of the Mira 9, the cone. So it's like reflecting off the cone. So you're not getting a perfect engraved line. And that's what the shadowing means. If you have a shadowing in your engraving, it's a sign that your mirrors are unaligned. And so the first thing I had to do was realign my mirrors. So I did that. And then since my mirrors had probably been misaligned for a while, I had like completely readjusted my settings on my laser a few times. So then I had to go back and try and readjust my settings. And this is what you can kind of see here. This is the first batch I made. And you can tell it's not very deep. You can definitely tell here, like, it's just not engraving deep enough. It's just not clear enough. So I did another 3. And look, these have already been painted. So these have been painted with the method. You can kind of see the steps here where you leave your masking on, and then you fill it with color. So really the process is you spray clear sealant spray. I use that 2+. Is it from 2 times? I'll add the link in the comments. I use that one specifically because it stinks the less out of all the sprays, and I'm very smell sensitive. So you leave the masking on, you spray your clear sealant, then you put like one, or you go like normally at least twice. I've been using these Posca pens. Posca pens are really good at flooding because a lot of paint comes out. So I fill it with the Posca pens, let it dry between fills, just so it doesn't smudge all over the place, because it also can do that. And then once you're done, once it dries, you clear, you spray the clear sealant again, and that kind of traps the paint in there and should give you clearer lines. And here when I did it, I did not get very clear lines, which is like, okay, my laser's not doing a great job right now. So that's when I went, okay, I need to realign my mirrors. And so on these now, I need to take off the masking, and I will give you a quick example here. And on these, interesting, why do I have all these different ones? Because it's different settings. So on the ones that I have, like, and it's interesting, you can see where I was basically trying to go deeper and deeper, because you really want a deeper engrave in order for the paint to really and you can see it, this is deeper, this is the less deep. So you can actually see the progression of me adjusting my settings. Like this was the first one, still not very clear, and this is the same as this one, where I could tell it was not deep enough and it wasn't going to work as well. It's not the worst thing in the world. I can go in there and fix this, but really you want to try and give yourself as less work as possible. I mean, you can go in and fix that, but you're really trying to do the less work possible. So let's try this one, for example. Yeah, and I also remade this file because these were too big, I think, for earrings. And I just want these as little stud earrings. So, and yes, you can use tape to remove. But I find, look how much clearer that one is than this one. And this is where you can really see the difference in adjusting your settings. Like this one, I'm probably going to go in with a little bit of oh my God, brain freeze. The things you use in your ears, and just clean this up just a little. I might even be able to just clean this up a little with my nails since I got longer nails right now. But so much less work if you have your settings. And that's like, that looks pretty good. And I might go over one more time with clear sealant just to really set this all in. And also, since it's going to be worn on the ears, you really do want to make sure the paint is trapped in there. You can even add some UV resin to this if you're really feeling a little paranoid and you really don't want the paint to come off. So yeah, this is a great example of showing how settings can make a big difference to putting your filling in by using your masking. And this was the same as kind of, actually no, this was before I realigned, and you can really see how rough this is too. And you can see all the lines of the engrave, and you're really trying to change that too. So you kind of have to go a little bit slower and a little bit more power in order to avoid all those lines to get a nice deep engrave. So that was a good example of those two. But this is what I also want to show. Someone in my group posted this, and and it's something that I don't use very often just because I got very used to doing it this way. So I'm going to try this way now, which is basically putting dish soap on your acrylic first, so that kind of acts like a masking. Then you cut out what you need to cut out, and then you paint, and then you just remove it once again with the dish soap. So we're gonna try that and see if it comes out a lot cleaner than these will come out. I always use Blue Dawn because I come from a jewelry background, and Blue Dawn is kind of like a magical potion. It has extra like degreasing, and it's a little bit more powerful than the other Dawns, or at least that's what the myth says. So I'm going to stick to my Blue Dawn. And how do you apply it? You can either just apply it with your hand, but if this is not your thing, you can just grab a little bit of, paper towel and put it on the paper towel. But, there's nothing complicated to it. And this is a great way to avoid paper masking, especially with people with certain lasers that are more prone to fires. I've definitely had one of those lasers. I don't have to worry about that with the Mira 9, but definitely lower powered lasers, you have to be careful with paper masking. So it's definitely a way to, not have to use paper masking on projects. So all I did was put on a good layer. You can let it dry, but it's not important for you to let it dry. And this is going to work as masking. Okay, so I'm going to cut this, and then I'll come back and we'll do the fill it with paint, let it dry, and then remove the paint afterwards, and we'll see if it makes a big difference. So this is how they look after they've been cut. And you can see that there's a little bit of dust on here. And generally, when I am doing it this method with the masking left on, I will go in there with like a very soft brush and remove this dust, so it's not in the way of paint fill. But since we have the Dawn on here, I don't want to do that because I am concerned it's going to remove the Dawn, because the Dawn is kind of acting as a masking. So let's paint some of these and see how this is going to work out. So I'm just going to flood it. I'm using the Posca pen here. I always test it out a little bit on the side to see if the paint's coming out well. It is. And here we go. I'm just going to hold it down. I always hold it down. And I'm gonna fill in a few of these. And then you have to let them dry. And then after they dry, you have to see whether you need to go in again, because you might need to go in again. And if you so on the video, I did 2 runs on everything because I'm still not loving my settings on my laser. So I'm actually, my next job basically is I'm doing a materials test, and I'm going to be doing a tutorial on that too. This is like the perfect time for a materials test because my laser is not cutting through the acrylic the first time round. So I'm going to do a materials test, and for all I know, there might be more issues going on with my laser. So I need to like rule that out. So here we go. This is going in. Since I like really made sure that the engraving was deep, the ink is actually going in really well. I said to let it dry, but here I go. You should let it dry. You'll get a better reading on whether you have gaps in your paint, because sometimes you can't really see, and sometimes you just didn't fill all the way. So I'm just doing this, and then what I will do is I am going to let it dry. See if there's any gaps, and if not, then we will restart the video with me wiping it off. So I let it dry, and as you can see, it doesn't really look very well flooded. So I'm gonna go in there again and fill it more, because you don't want to be able to see the lines. You don't want to see anything behind the paint. So this is why it's always a good idea to let it dry and then go in here and fill it again. One way to avoid this problem is to just use thick acrylic paint too, instead of the Posca pens. And I definitely recommend using, if you're doing a sign or like a bigger piece, to use acrylic paint and not the Posca pens. And acrylic paint tends to be a lot thicker anyway, so it's going to fill in better. And it doesn't need to be expensive paint. It can be the cheapest acrylic paint you find at your art store or Amazon or Walmart or whatever it is that you get art supplies. You do not need to be paying a lot of money. The acrylic paint, and when it gets more expensive, it's really you're talking to people that are actually acrylic painters that need the paint to not change when they paint it on a canvas. And then also you're getting like, acrylic paint can get very sophisticated. You don't need anything like that. You just need the basic acrylic paint. And I actually think in this case, it probably would have worked out better too. It just would have filled in this space faster. I don't really want to go in over and over and over again. Also, Posca pens are a little bit expensive and a little bit unpredictable. I mean, I love them for certain uses, but you never know how much paint is going to come out. And especially now that it's like a lot warmer. My studio's at cave right now, but towards the end of the day, it gets really hot. It can get really hot in here, and I don't put the air conditioning on because it's just too loud for me. And so I find with heat, like the Posca pens just really start wanting to flood out. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry. So I'm satisfied now that I have enough paint in here. So I was going to try this in 2 different ways. I already tried it with this one, you can see. Maybe using these to put some, I'm putting like some dish soap on here and grabbing one and taking it off. Oh, it actually, look at that. It's great. Is that too in your face? Maybe I can like, zone it back out so it's not like so crazy. Yeah, this works really well. I would say just make sure that your engraving is deep. But I mean, that's kind of a general rule for all paint filling on acrylic. If your engraving is not deep, it's not going to work very well. So there we go. Let's put some more on. Just clear it up a little. But if your engraving is deep, it looks like it stays in there pretty well. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So this is a fun alternative to use if you don't want to be dealing with paper masking. And there's legitimate reasons not to be wanting to deal with that. Like, my first laser I had to be so careful with paper masking because I did have a fire. Like, I had paper masking that was at the end of the roll, and it was all fine when I put it on. And then when I put it in and it started engraving, the paper masking lifted and like my laser went on fire right away. Luckily, I was there and I was able to stop it right away. But that is very... Okay, and now I'm going to try with paper towel, see if this is faster. Yeah, this works really well. So this is a great tip. I want to thank Erica in my group that shared this. Actually, this is a lot faster. Put on your... And I know most people just use like stuff they find at the dollar store. Like, they're not using expensive soap. So just because I have like a Blue Dawn thing going on, you use the dish soap that you have. Yeah, and this I would, anything that you're doing like a big sign, I would, oh my God, recommend this so much more than using masking. This is, as you can tell, like I'm making little stud earrings. These are like they're all around 1/2 inch. So it's a little bit fiddlier, but it's still like working really well. And I really recommend this. On a big sign, I think you're going to save so much time doing this, or on like if you're doing keychains for people. Anything that's, this is just a little fiddly because I'm having to like really hold this but it works really well. Look at that. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad I like finally just got down to trying this as opposed to be stuck in my ways. And this looks great. I'm going to take a photo of this and I'm going to list this. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If you're looking for any courses on how to make laser earrings, I have everything from how to design to how to, paint your earrings and different techniques from beginner to advanced. And then I also have a mini course on how to best sell your earrings. Like work smarter, not harder, of my 20 years of experience of selling and using all sorts of platforms. So it's my mini course on how to best use your time to sell. Using, like how to use the algorithm to your advantage, how to micro niche, all those great things that help you out. Look at that. This is great. This is actually, I think, a little bit more reliable. I don't know. I mean, these look pretty good too, I have to say. These are with my final settings. These were with the first settings. So I then did it twice more. And these actually look so much better than that. Look at that. Isn't it amazing? But, I mean, these look pretty good too, I gotta say. But these look good. Yeah, this is a great tip and I really recommend it. And just let me know if you have any questions.